Breaking news. If you all know Pro.Patrick Lomumba, I watched this video about him. And what is more unique here, you Gambians come closer. He said something about Kunta Kinte. They went to his home. They killed him and they called him Toby. You know, I've literally been following Pro.Patrick Lomumba. He's actually one of the, like I can say, the people that have taken African Pan-Africanism to another level. When I listen what he said from the starting of Kunta Kinte, how the West eliminated him, and at the same time, how up to date we are still being colonized. In fact, we are in the modern day what refers to as neocolonialism. I said, wow. And do you know the most unique thing he said? He said Africans are the only people, the only continent in the world that consume what they did not produce and produce what they did not consume. This is why Africa is hard. This is why no matter how a particular government works, Africa cannot be 100 or even 60 or 70% taken care of. You know why? Until we started today to take responsibility, let us consume what we are producing. In the Gambia today, in different countries, where you are, as long as you are in Africa, go in town. Track all the big businesses. They are owned by people that are not even Africans. They are owned by people that are not even from your country. They are owned by people that are far off Africa. Where do you think those money are going? A lot of people say they are paying taxes. No matter the amount of taxes they are paying, it's not equivalent to what is being taken from you. Watch the video and then we'll be right back.
You capture Kunta Kinte, and in order to dehumanize him, you call him Toby. That is also theology. So, African problem is also colonization. So as we speak now, there are Nigerians here. There are Ghanaians here. There are Congolese, Democratic Republic of Congo, and then there is Congo, named after Ferdinand de Brazza, called Brazzaville. I look forward to the day they change Brazzaville's name. At least they changed Leopoldville into Kinshasa. This is the reality. This is part of the problem. The Democratic Republic of Congo will never know peace because of religion, Roman Catholicism, and colonization. These are the problems bedeviling Africa. And we never said King Leopold of the Belgians caused 13 million Congolese to be killed. Twice the number of the Jews that were killed by Adolf Hitler at Holocaust. But we have forgotten. We Africans have a short memory. But the Jews will never allow you to forget. Never, ever. But we Africans have forgotten. Part of the African problem is short memory. Amnesia is part of our problem. And that is why we keep on repeating the same mistakes time and over. Colonization is part of the problem that affects Africa. Because after colonization ended, we have another thing called neocolonization. And it is alive and well. That thing called neocolonization is alive and well. And if you doubted whether he's alive and well, I want you to see what is happening in Guinea-Conakry. I want you to see what is happening in Niger. I want you to see what is happening in Burkina Faso. I want you to see what is happening in Chad. And I want you to see the arrogance of the French president when he says, my ambassador shall not leave, my bases shall not be removed. At least yesterday he capitulated. The neo-colonial project is alive and well. Did you hear the voice of the church throughout what is happening in Guinea-Bissau? No, the church is silent. The church is complicit. So when you talk about theology and what it can do, sometimes courtesy of theology, because you want to be good, you don't raise your voices. The last time I checked, John the Baptist's voice was alive and well in the wilderness. Where is the voice of the church amidst all this? Africa's problem is also neocolonization. From slavery to colonization to neocolonization, which is an ongoing project. And Ghana's Kwame Nkrumah was right in 1965 when he said, the last stage of colonization is neocolonization, and is alive and well. And we see it. Today, I tell Africans, because of neocolonization, I'll come to what I think theology can do. Today in Africa, here in Nairobi, Kenya, if you want to buy something from a supermarket, you go to Carrefour, which is French. You want to buy fuel, you go to Total Energies or Rubies, which is French. You want to have your pizza, which is made by Kentucky Fried Chicken, which is American. You have it carried by Glovo, which is Spanish. If you want to have security, you have it by G4S, which is British. If you want your home guarded, is guarded by KK, which is Gardewald from Quebec. If you want to have chicken, it's Kentucky Fried Chicken. If you want your airports managed, is Swissport from Switzerland. That is the state of Africa. Consuming what we do not produce and producing what we do not consume. Just look at it. That is it. And when you are in that state, you are a slave. When you are in that state, you are dehumanized. When you are in that state, you are not behaving as if you are made in the image of God.
After watching the video, they did the same thing to Baibure. They did the same thing to Shingipie. They did the same thing to Kailo. They did the same thing to many people, many African warriors, both men and women. People who would have stood for Africa, whose generation, whose lineage would have strengthened Africa. They cut it off. And you are happy? Anyway, Prof, thanks for reminding us. And they've brought Christianity to us. Not only Christianity, different religion. And trying to distract an African man in what we are doing. All what is happening now, the church is keeping quiet. Oh yes. Do you know that the black man, African continent, is the only continent that have not hurt another continent for their own well-being? Do you know that the black man is the only man that have not committed a racial offense? You don't know this. Anyway, Prof, thanks for reminding us, and thanks for sharing this video. As a Pan-Africanist, you're welcome, and I'll see you in the next video.